So recently inside of the Debt Free Millennials Facebook group, we polled the audience to see what their biggest struggle was financially. 26% said that credit card debt was their biggest financial struggle, even more so than student loan debt. So I had to go inside of the group and ask who out there was actually not using their credit cards anymore if they had credit card debt, and how they were able to stop using them altogether. And I got some really surprising and amazing answers, and I can't wait to share those with you. Hey, what's up? It's Justine with Debt Free Millennials, the channel for all things millennial, money, and debt-free living. If you're interested in learning how to live a debt-free life, be sure you hit subscribe. All right, so I run a private Facebook group called the Debt Free Millennials Support Group, and inside there we talk about all things debt, money-related budgeting, savings, and this time I went to the sources and asked them how did they stop using their credit cards if they had credit card debt. Now, I myself never had credit card debt. I never had issues with using credit cards. I actually didn't know much about credit cards until I met my husband. So I wanted to ask directly from the sources so that you could get some ideas on how to stop using credit cards. And I love this first answer by Rebecca. So what she ended up doing was she took her credit card statement and she put it into a spreadsheet so that she could see all of the transactions, everything that had kind of piled up into what ended up being her debt. And she stopped using the card. And so what she did was every time she made a payment, she would gray out one of the transactions that covered that payment. So she said, for example, she'd grayed out her TV purchase and she could see that her payment was going directly towards that purchase. She said it was such a motivating effect because every time she grayed out a tangible thing, that payment, she now associated her hard work with actually buying that thing. So for example, if she wanted to go out to the movies for $12, she would have to equate that to working for 2 hours at minimum wage. So it made her kind of rethink. I love that visual tool, Rebecca, where you were able to gray things out and really equate that to your hard work. She even said that she put together some side hustles to help her clear her of all her credit card debt. Amazing work. Okay, so the next tip comes from Maggie, my homegirl. So she said that she broke up with her credit card and then got back in a relationship with her credit card after she realized the impact that credit card debt had in her life. Her best tip is to be honest. Do not use the credit card and cut it up. Literally, physically cutting up the credit card has a tremendous impact in your ability to use it, because you can't use a cut up credit card at the grocery store. You can't use it at all. I really enjoyed her tip because it shows that once she was able to remove herself from actually transacting with credit cards and really being diligent with cash first, was she able to go back and say, is this relationship with a credit card what I really want? And to her, the importance of having a credit card was to take advantage of free airline miles and cashback rewards, which is like one of the best things about using a credit card. And she was able to first teach herself how to use cash responsibly, and then going back to using a credit card responsibly and paying off the balance every single month. All right, the next tip comes from Aaron. So what Aaron told us was that him and his wife were just cutting up the credit cards. And we've also kind of been talking back and forth about how a lot of people just take their credit card and put it in either a Tupperware container or a plastic bag, fill it with water and put it in the freezer. So it delays that impact of actually reaching for the credit card. So if you want to use it, you have to take it out of the freezer, thaw it out, and during that unthawing process, you really have to go through the emotions and that thinking process of, okay, is this really worth it? Is this really worth unthawing the credit card for? He also said as a result of cutting them up that it's helped them cut back on unnecessary spending and really coming up with a plan and planning for emergencies and not falling on the credit card, which I freaking love that. You absolutely have to have an emergency fund of cash and not rely on credit cards for emergencies. I was actually in another Facebook group where somebody had commented that they only use credit cards for things like car repairs or other emergencies. And I asked that person, you know, do they have an emergency fund? And they said they were working on it. So that is the number one thing that you can do to avoid going into even more credit card debt, is stacking up some cash for an emergency fund. I have a video that talks about financial emergencies, so be sure to check that one out. Okay, I'd like to know, jump in the comments right now, if you had credit card debt, how did you break up with your credit card? What are your best tips for stopping using credit cards altogether while you're paying down debt? And if you got back into using credit cards, how did you do so responsibly? I'd love to know. I think credit cards can be a useful tool if we know how to pay them off every single month and take advantage of those cash back points and airline miles and getting hashtag all the freebies. If you want to learn step-by-step strategies on how to pay off that debt for good and start living a debt-free life that you can control with your finances, be sure to check out my online course, The Freedom Project, that teaches you exactly how I was able to pay off $35K in student loan debt in 2.5 years, and I'll drop the link below. Until next time, we'll see you guys later.